are the name of the game in this tournament, and we're going to see a whole lot more as we move forward.
Now let's jump on into draft. LGD on the blue side, PSG on the red. Zoe banned away immediately. Xiye is like, no Twisted Fate for you. That is getting taken out. And we'll see if the Leona ban comes out as well from PSG. Lillia has been 100% red side ban so far in the tournament, and I do not see that changing with Peanut being on the other side.
Yeah, Lillia definitely super high priority. The other champion is that Lucian that I think we've seen banned a couple of times, picked first by Madlines in our game #1, so very high priority on that champion too. Of course, when you have these attack damage mid laners, it opens up those scaling AP jungle picks. Speaking of those, that Echo we were just mentioning, LGD is going to get rid of to try and break up that Echo set combo.
Yeah, no real surprises there. Now we have the question. It's actually going to be an Ezreal ban, so Kramer getting taken off his second most played champion in summer, but this leaves Lillia open, and you have to expect that Peanut's going to lock that one in. He didn't play it a huge amount. In fact, I'm not sure if he played it at all in the LPL, but immediately it's locked in here.
Yeah, I mean, Lillia is just so powerful right now in this match. She farms the jungle super fast because of her movement speed too. She gets between camps very quickly as well, and can be a real nuisance against a lot of like slow moving or even not so fast moving CC, right? You have to have some very reliable CC to be able to punish her because she doesn't really have any sort of sustain in these fights. You can punish her, but you have to hit her, and that's what's so hard.
It's so difficult to keep track of her. I mean, I've played enough games with you in solo queue where you're just running around 25 Medjay stacks being like, guys, it's fine. I'm farming enemy champions. We don't need objectives. But Peanut here getting his hands on probably the power pick of Worlds 2020. On the other side, PSG are going to lock in a top lane tank for Hanabi. It's going to be the Ornn. Of course, could be flexed into the mid lane, but now with the Orianna being locked in for Uniboy, the expectation is that Ornn's going top.
Yeah, it's just setting up a very strong team fight here for PSG. I think one of the things you have to respect when you're coming into these tournaments is just find a composition with a very clear way to win games and try to punish. Now, the difficulty for PSG is while they're drafting for this team fight, and they're definitely going to have like scaling picks in the bot lane and the jungle to try and fit into this style, LGD now get not just the Lillia, but also the Lucian, which does have a solid matchup into the Orianna in mid lane. So when you have these farming jungle picks, if you can get strong lanes around it, you're almost unstoppable in the early game.
And another strong pick is the Volibear in the top lane. Into the Ornn, you get a relatively free laning phase. It's something we've seen a little bit in the LPL. Not picked up by too many other regions, actually, the Volibear, after it switched out of the jungle.
Yeah, it's a champion that they do like to flex around and doesn't have too hard of a time up top side of the map. And I think for Langx, he's just a guy that's cruising along in this series. I think you look at the other playmakers on this team to try and make sure they get out to an early lead, specifically Peanut and xiye and how they can work together. Now with the Lillia and Lucian, like we mentioned, they're going to be able to influence the rest of this map. And with Kongyue going to the graves, the scaling pick is a good team fighting pick, but is it the right choice to try and punish Lucian? I don't think so.
And the 2v2 mid-jungle skirmish seems just so much stronger for LGD. Twitch is going to get taken away by PSG. We've heard rumors of that. We saw it in picks to watch as well. Twitch as an AD carry is definitely going to be high up on the priority list for most teams here at the World Championship. And now LGD have their options. You can get rid of more AD carries if you want, or you could try and pinch Kaiwing's support pool a little bit, get rid of things like the Bard. However, I love this ban. We saw D on the center in the last game. We know he hasn't played since August last year. Take him off the safe AD carries.
And Senna is such a beastly champion too in big front-to-back team fights because you can line up her Q to get insane healing. The shielding from her ultimate as well offers you so much utility within fights. So I think getting rid of that is a very smart choice. But now we're looking at kind of like the Bard is a champion that both these supports love to play, can definitely help you start off fights. The Thresh too for playmaking in the bot lane for Kaiwing because he's the player that is leading this team, making sure he has the tools in his hands to aggressively seek out fights is going to be so critical for PSG.
But there's the Bard getting taken away, and Thresh is Kaiwing's other signature pick. 8 and 3 on it throughout the course of the season. It looks like it's going to be Jhin here for PSG. Not locked in as of yet, but I do like it as a pick. It's an AD carry that can be relatively safe.
Yeah, and the other champion I'm looking at is the Ashe, because I feel like if it doesn't get locked in here, Ashe is a pretty natural follow for Kramer. It was one of his most played during the regular season with Ezreal gone, and also just giving your team that reliable form of engage. You know, an Ashe Leona or something around the bottom side of the map to give you that fight could be critical when Volibear isn't going to really carry that from the top lane.
Yeah, and especially gives you the extra pick potential for the ball coming out from the Lillia. Yeah. It's like, you know how easy it is to hit a ball on a stationary target ender? It's super easy. That ball just rolls straight towards them. You then get the their sleep, and there's the Ashe you were talking about. As you said, Kramer's played it 18 times across the course of the split, has actually gone 9 and 9 on it. The Braum alongside that gives you a little bit more protection, stops the call of the Forge God from the Ornn, and can block some of the curtain call.
Yeah, the Braum is interesting, because as you mentioned, it does have some pretty good interactions with the abilities on the PSG team comp, but it gives a bit more of a play back style for LGD, where they want to absorb the engage and then turn it back on PSG's head. Looking at some bot lane options for Kaiwing, playmaking is the name of the game for this guy, and especially when you have an Ornn and an Orianna. You chuck that Orianna ball onto a Rakan's head, and Kaiwing is going to have all the tools he needs to find those fights.
It is the first time we have seen Kaiwing on this Rakan, though, in the entirety of summer, so obviously trying to bring something new, maybe feeling a little bit more of the burden on him as one of the 2 players of the PSG main roster. He needs to be a little bit more on the front foot. He needs to be the one engaging, or looking at least for those follow-up engages from the Call of the Forge God.
Yeah, and I think that he's going to have a pretty good time in this game. You know, we like the Rakan matchup into a Braum. It's really hard to get punished by the concussive blows, so you can hop in quickly and then hop back out, jumping to your AD carry. So team fight is the name of the game for PSG. Some strong laning, and then really good power picks in the form of the Lillia and the Lucian for LGD is the name of the game.
I really like the powerful skirmishes that we see from LGD. When Peanut gets ahead, LGD gets ahead. If he is behind, LGD tend to lose. Peanut is the key man for this team. And on something like a Lillia that I did check, he's played once during the playoffs, did lose on it, but had an okay scoreline. On something like the Lillia, he has so much more impetus, so much more threat in this game.
Yeah, LGD fans definitely want a good performance right out of the gates. None of the woes of past years, none of the woes of 2015 to come on back to this team.
And also none of the woes of a team like Mad Lions. Like in the first game, they did look a little bit shaky. They did look a little bit apprehensive. And you have to expect a team with the pedigree, with the veterancy of some of these players will not have that same stage fright. I mean, Langx went to Worlds last year. Peanut, Worlds 2016. MSI 2017. Worlds 2017. xiye, MSI 2017, Worlds 20, like everyone but Mark on this team has been on the international stage.
And that's who I want to focus in on, though, is Mark, because he is so pivotal to his team's success. The amount of time he spends outside lane constantly looking for roams, he is now, after a really weird year in 2020, on the international stage, ready to prove himself at Worlds. And can he match up against the likes of Kaiwing, who we know is an excellent support in his own right?
And obviously on the other side of the rift, PSG with a few less experienced players. Kongyue and Uniboy did go to Worlds in 2018 with Mad. They lost to GRX and were knocked out in the playing stages. Kaiwing's been here before, lost to Fnatic in 2017, got knocked out of groups with Hong Kong Attitude last year. So we have got experience on either side, but the difficulty for PSG will be team fighting, playing around a style when you have 3 new players.
Yeah, but one of the super interesting things seeing their first game, which they won pretty handedly, was they seemed all of one mind, all on the same page. Communication definitely working out for them, with 5 players all speaking Cantonese for them. So this team, I really think, has some potential here to show good teamwork, and it's now about finding other styles that they might be not as used to playing.
Well, let's talk a little bit then about expectations for this game, because I think a lot of people will come into it and say, well, it's the LPL's 4th seed versus the PCS's 2nd seed. Yep. The expectation should be that LGD win this game. So, for the PCS 2nd seed, do we just expect them to put on a good show? Is that enough for them? Or do we think that they should be at least challenging for the win, if not winning the game?
I think with all of the difficulties thrown PSG's way, you obviously do have to temper your expectations to a certain degree. But again, you need to make sure that you're not coming last place in the group, because after the round robin, bottom team is out. PSG do need to show up, and with a comp like this, I want to see them coordinated in the team fights.
Of course, coming last in the group is a lot easier because they picked up a last is a lot harder because they picked up a win earlier on. Each team only plays 4 times in the group stage, but the top 4 teams, so everyone but last place in each group, will at least get a chance to play for a position in the World's group stage. We're on to Summoner's Rift here, Ender. Early on, I know you love to look at the junglers, so let's have a talk about how Peanut and Kongyue are going to play this early game.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking over at the side of Peanut in this one. We already said how quickly you can blitz through the jungle, but especially when you have a Lucian in mid lane, and you'll notice there, xiye is going to be rocking the Ignite as well. You can play pretty aggressive in this matchup, and a lot of times you'll see a heavy focus on the Raptor camp early in the game. That's why we see this early red ward placed by Kongyue that's going to ward out and see if LGD made any sort of incursions into the topside jungle early on, and he's going to be able to start bot side with good confidence, or he's going to go back topside, but he's going to start with good confidence he's not being invaded.
Double oracles on the side of PSG as well, just to make sure that there were no extra wards, nothing getting snuck in, no extra vision for LGD. I want to just come back to the Braum pick a little bit earlier that we discussed in Pick Ban, because I was thinking more about it, and because you have two AD carries on your team, Braum actually gets even stronger in these skirmishes. The concussive blows is so easy to proc. Ashe autos once, Lucian autos a couple of times, you've got concussive blows.
I love it. I love it with 2 AD carries, and I love Braum versus 2 AD carries, because while his passive is great with 2 ADCs, when you play against 2 ADCs, his wall becomes so powerful. The Grave's going to struggle a little bit punching into that one, and the Jhin, of course, his ultimate, his auto attack's going to be absorbed there too.
It's definitely going to be interesting to watch exactly how these two teams fight around their supports and the power there. But for the moment, we can see xiye pushing in the mid lane, 7 CS to 2 up, and as we expect, the Lucian into the Orianna is just such a strong matchup for the Lucian.
And I really want to talk about xiye's Lucian. There's going to be a level 2 coming to the bot side, so LGD need to watch out for that one. But xiye, this Lucian mid lane pick was a very new pick. You remember the last time we saw him, really pop off internationally? 2017 MSI. Yep. And I have a little bit of unique insight on this because I was literally a referee at this tournament. And the reason I'm saying this is because this Lucian pick was talked about by every single team in the tournament. Everyone was playing Lucian behind the scenes. You would start off every game when they got out on stage, each team would have their AD carry do a 1v1 with their mid laner, Cassiopeia versus Lucian mid, because it was the secret counter pick that no one really knew about. But xiye was the first one to pull it out and absolutely bodied Faker with the champion. So I'm super excited to see him to get a shot with it again today.
It's always great to have those sort of recurring themes for a player, right? You think about Faker's rise, you think about the Z outplay for Faker as well, and of course, Lucian here for xiye. Peanut is on his way towards the top lane, stealing away the Crux, did use the sweeper in the Tribush, so Hanabi should know that Peanut is on that top side. Kaiwing was looking for a very early roam towards the mid lane, but decided to back away from it. At the moment, he is teaming up with Kongyue.
Yeah, I really like this type of roam from support. It's something we started seeing a lot more towards the back half of the regular season. We saw it in the LEC, but in a couple of other regions too, where your own bot lane, your AD carry will try to push out that third wave, get a quick reset, go back to base and find a cull. And whereas in the past, a lot of times you would see a support reset and then either path to mid lane or bot lane, what Kaiwing just did there was sprint immediately to mid lane. So you come in at a gank timer that's about 10 to 15 seconds faster than what the enemy mid would necessarily expect. There, obviously, it doesn't end up mean anything. xiye is really hard to punish on the Lucian, and he was playing towards the top side river. But these are the types of moves that Kaiwing especially is going to consistently try to look for.
Did xiye spot out Kongyue there? I think he did. He's playing down towards the bottom side. The smoke screen comes out. You can see the pressure that's been applied to Uniboy here by xiye just makes it so difficult for Uniboy to lane, and they're trying to relieve some of that tension in the mid lane.
But you can't really do that because Lucian, he has the dash, he still has his flash up, and Orianna doesn't really support you too well pre-level 6 when it comes to those ganks. Doesn't have that hard CC. Graves also not going to be able to bring it. So the only way I see PSG finding a successful gank around mid lane is if Kaiwing is in the area and is moving forward. So now that Kramer and Mark have that bot lane push going there and down there again, it opens up so much pressure for xiye to be able to step up very aggro, even with no mana.
We didn't bring attention to the AD carry itemization. D did go back and get himself a cull. He's now got 83 stacks left on that. Well, Kramer started with a cull. I mean, the expectation into a Rakan lane is, unless the Rakan really outplays you, you shouldn't be losing lane. It's actually really difficult as Rakan, although it feels easy to jump in and get knockups and do some damage, it's very hard to win a laning phase.
Yeah, and while a lot of people will be like, Cole, isn't that a super greedy purchase? No, I don't actually think it is that greedy. I think it's been something that AD carries have been able to do for a long time. The thing you're going to be missing out most on is the flat HP you do get from Doran's Blade 80, I do believe. But what you actually gain is more life on hit, because it's not a percentage life steal, it's actually just returning an amount of life on hit. So up until you reach a 180 threshold, you technically get more sustained value from a cull than you would from a Doran's Blade.
Flat value is better than percentage values when you have low.
That's how it goes.
AD. That's the way it works. Langx has gone back and got himself a Jhin in the top lane and also a sizable CS lead. Very experienced in this Volibear into Ornn matchup. And Hanabi is struggling just a tad, but of course the Ornn gives you so much power as the game goes on. The upgrades, items from its passives, and then the Call of the Forge God and that team fight threat.
Yeah, that's obviously what PSG are going to be looking for. PSG, also typically known as a bit slower of team. Yeah, Kaiwing will look for plays, try to get an early advantage, but even with the changes, they're going to be perfectly content to slow things out, chilled out for just a little bit, and look for those 5 versus 5s around major neutral objectives later on to the game, which is exactly what the Ornn, as you said, is going to be giving you. But what they need to keep in mind is that top lane and mid lane especially, really good matchups for LGD, and it's allowing Peanut to very easily farm in through the jungle. So LGD are going to come out of this early game with a gold advantage, and we can expect them to see, you know, the conversion of this early pressure into objectives. You know, Peanut's down there right now as Kaiwing looks for a little bit of poke, but that should be a very early dragon here for LGD.
And you can see there exactly why it is hard for Rakan to play in this 2v2. Like, you can jump in, but the Unbreakable comes up and you don't really get anything out of it. Peanut low here, but he has the smite and there is no pressure on the map on him at all. Kongyue is up on the top side. Peanut will get the first dragon of the game. It's a mountain, next Infernal. So we could have a Cloud or even an Ocean Soul this game ender.
Ooh, all right, the Ocean Soul, everyone already is getting spooked about it.
Ocean.
Everyone knows Ocean is OP, but hey, movement speed, you got a Lillia, you got a Volibear, gonna be very, very nice there as well. So as we approach the 8-minute mark, this is where we wonder, like, do we see these teams probably convert up into a Herald swap? But I actually would expect to see less of that with the pace of the game that I'm expecting from PSG, where, again, they're focused on the team fights. Level 6s have come through for a lot of their players, but not necessarily the bot lane, and with that Rakan especially, that opens up much more playmaking than if you were to swap up there now without it.
I will say, for the first appearance of LPL at Worlds 2020, I've been watching a lot of Super Server games. We didn't have a level 1
I was
10v10
promised,
fight.
yeah, 10v10 at level 1, and that just didn't happen.
20 kills by the 7th minute. I understand it though, and we've talked about it a lot. Like the way this team plays does not have to be early action. You can see LGD just getting laning phase advantages. They're about 600 gold ahead. They can then look for skirmishes in the mid game after some of these lanes open up a little bit more, and can put a lot of pressure down on the map. For now, LGD will be happy with how they're playing, although some fans in the audience might be a little bit disappointed we're not seeing all the bloodshed in the world.
Yeah, Peanut just going to be eeping around the jungle, clearing blue buff and Gromp at the same time, but he's out of mana, so he gives up on the... No, he gave up on Gromp because he was just out of mana and was going to probably die to it. That feels bad.
See, this is why it's good to have a jungle colleague on the desk, because I was just like, oh, Peanut not managing his patience properly.
No, he was like sprinting away from that Gromp. That guy was baring his fangs, ready to chew in. No.
I've never thought of Gromp having fangs, but that's a good mental image. I like it.
Does Gromp open his mouth, really? Because
He does, because he spits at you.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Venomous fangs, obviously, for Gromp. And at the moment, some venomous auto attacks coming out from xiye, but I will give credit to Uniboy. He's only 8 CS behind in this lane. Hasn't lost a plate on his tower, as far as I can see. And so that's actually a very good position for this Orianna to be in.
Look at this, though. Kramer, level 6, walking up through river. PSG frantically pinging out that this roam could be happening, and Uniboy does have the flash to escape. No cleanse, though.
Uniboy is just pretty safe right now as he backs away. Mark and Kramer trying to team up.
But how unfair is this? He's doing Scuttle Crab and Herald at the same time because top and mid lane are winning so hard for him in terms of pressure.
It's the push pressure that we talked about earlier on. You can see Langx has just pushed in that Ornn in the top lane. PSG going to try and fight against this. Cullen coming out. Kaiwing battle dancing away, looking for the grand entrance. Yet to hit 6, doesn't have the quickness. And that Rift Herald, the eye has opened and it's taken down. Enchanted Crystal is going to hit Kaiwing, but he will be more than safe on the backline.
These are the types of roams that I really don't like, though. I feel like when we see 10 people come up to a Herald and there's not a fight, one team made a very incorrect decision. In this case, it's PSG, who didn't have pressure on the top side and who did not have level 6 on Kaiwing just yet. I would have much rather preferred to see D and Kaiwing stay down in the bottom lane and trade for plates in the bot side. Kongyue to go bot side, steal away jungle camps. The Krugs were up there. He could have done that and really evened out a lot of the gold that can be lost from this Herald, but instead it just ends up being a lot of wasted time because now Peanut gets a lot of these turret plates for free.
Call of the Forge God coming out from Hanabi. He's just looking to clear out this wave as much as he can. Peanut's on the chase. Uniboy's on his way up. The sun's going to land. The tower is disrupted and Hanabi flashes away. Peanut gets the kill and Yang Jhin tanking up the tower. will just be able to walk away. Uniboy looked for some chasing, but couldn't get close enough.
It's just a really good dive there from LGD. They dared Hanabi to clear away the minion wave. He was worried about the Herald coming down, and then he doesn't really have the self-peel tools to stay alive against that dive, against a whole lot of targeted CC. So even the flash not going to be super useful there, and the roam did not come through fast enough. So once again, another solid win for LGD, and Peanut is still holding on to that Rift Herald, so that one can be placed a little bit later for even more bucks.
Of course, the Stormbringer stopping the tower from doing any damage makes it a lot easier to dive when you have a Lillia there for all your DPS requirements. And it's a good first dive here for
Ownwrecker
LGD.
at Worlds. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought it? Who would have thought that Ownwrecker would make a reappearance? Maybe we'll come back with the item changes going into 2021. 1,000 gold lead though for LGD, 11 minutes into the game. We can see Hanabi knows this is coming.
Yeah, he's very angrily clearing away the minion wave, then realizes potentially his mistake, even with the knockup, as you said. Turret not doing anything. Peanut held on to his ulti there too.
Good stuff. Didn't even need to use the Lilting Lullaby. Can now look to use it in a skirmish. 20 seconds on the Infernal Dragon Ender. I wonder if PSG will be more willing to fight this one. You have the quickness, you have the curtain core, you've got the shockwave, you've got all those ults up now.
Yeah, PSG do want to fight this because you just saw their bot lane take a reset, go back, get some big purchases, the BF sword comes through. I would have assumed they wanted to fight because they're pathing back down here again. So Kongyue, after taking the top side Scuttle Crab, you would assume goes to the bot side river, but LGD do have pressure here first, and I think it's going to be hard to push them out, especially because Hanabi doesn't have his ultimate for a little while.
See Kramer actually holding the wave just outside of turret range for PSG. Kongyue is going to try and come down here, but xiye is just navigating that lane so well. So difficult, as we said, to catch a Lucian. Now he's got his Mana Moon stacking up. He is going to have so much damage, but PSG will claim control of the river for the moment. Hanabi has teleport. Here comes the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Kaiwing dodges away. Culling's going to be used on Uniboy, but he uses the Dissonance and the Shield to get himself out. And there goes the arrow! It's bang at Worlds all over again.
I think that might be a bit of a reach there, man. He's like, calculated, that's the target I was going for. Imagine if that didn't interrupt.
It was prey, it wasn't bang.
It was prey, yeah. Good one. But it does slow things down for a little bit. PSG not committing here, even though Kramer doesn't have ult or mana, so I think they may just be able to pick this one up, because now Hanabi has the ultimate. Of course, he could teleport in here if necessary. PSG just want to pull the trigger before Hanabi is able to get back to base or restore any mana.
Kaiwing will be known, well, his location will be known, because xiye could see the ward go down, cleared by control ward. D trading with Kramer in the bottom lane. Kramer, of course, no arrow. Means that if D could hit one of these deadly flourishes, he would be able to chunk out that Ashe quite a lot.
You know, I'm really surprised with the restraint we saw from PSG. Now they are finally committing over towards this objective, and as you can see, Peanut doesn't really want to contest, not able to steal this one away. Here comes the TP.
TP's just for safety here. Like, they saw Mark coming in from the bottom side of it, and they were like, oh, maybe we just need to use that TP. And perhaps it was a little bit too apprehensive there from PSG, thinking they needed all 5 members.
It is a bit odd there, how long they waited and then calling in the TP regardless. Here we go, Herald should be able to get the charge on this one. 15 seconds before the plates fall. That money will go over to Peanut too.
So I think the question now, Ender, that we have to ask, we're 14 minutes into this game. LGD have, we'll say, 1,500 gold lead or thereabouts on average. Last time we saw PSG play, it was their jungle mid duo getting ahead in the early game that snowballed the game for them. Now, without Kongyue and Uniboy getting ahead, can PSG play the teamfight style that we actually saw from them regularly in the PCS?
Yeah, and it's the coordination. Can they be able to replicate that as well? The composition where a lot of ultimates need to work together very, very nicely. And can they do it against this LGD comp? Because LGD, I think, have a lot of excellent tools at dealing with the big wombo combo 5v5s, right? You know, when you consider how slippery xiye's Lucian can be, Peanut's Lillia, these champions can spread out in fights and really reduce the value of that slow-moving Forge God coming at you from Hanabi's Ornn. Similar things can be said about the Orianna too, and then for the player that is a bit vulnerable in Kramer, he's got Mark right there ready to protect him with that big shield, so it's really just Kaiwing that I think is going to be able to find out the pivotal players and work around that Braum wall for the rest of his team, because the other champions do have some counters up against them on LGD's comp.
And actually a big issue for Rakan when you get into fights like this is usually you want to be the secondary engage. You want people to be locked up a little bit, CC'd or at least stunned, so then you can get in and onto that backline, because it's actually, now that they changed the quickness so that you can't flash immediately, it becomes a lot harder for Rakan to get right on into the action by himself.
Yeah, it really does. So then we see a lot of these Rakan players using Fog of War against. Try and come around. Here comes Uniboy.
Gonna flash away. The sleep's gonna land, but he is underneath his tower and pretty darn safe. Arrow comes out as well, but Uniboy will dodge to the side of it. Just checked.
Is that one gonna hit Hanabi?
Didn't hit Hanabi. It went off onto Howling Abyss, my man. Someone in an AMAM somewhere is really angry.
That's like a 2.5-year stun, because that one scales up with distance traveled. Coming from you all the way from the LPL Super Server.
So Rift out the next target here for LGD. Peanut's going to get it. They managed to get the first. They got the first dragon. And now the Rift out should be easy for them. But there's the shockwave, and here's the follow-up engage. They dive onto Mark, who flashes away. Kongyue just has enough damage to get the kill, and PSG are on the board.
Really good punish right there. You see not a lot of great vision around mid lane for LGD, and PSG team up to make that happen. They're not going to be able to make it here for Rift Herald in time, and Peanut should be able to scoot on out of that one.
So it's a Rift Herald for a support's life in exchange there. PSG not really able to get too much more out of the fact they got that kill in the mid lane. They did get both of xiye's summoners, so no flash on the Lucian for the next few minutes.
Yep.
We'll see if they're able to capitalize on that.
It's definitely a good punish to have, especially because one of the things you love to see when you have an Ornn is if you can ever manage to get priority in that lane, walk down towards mid, chuck that one out, and Lucian has been pushed up for a lot of this game so far, can be vulnerable right there. But I am a little bit surprised to see how well PSG were able to set this one up here. You had Kaiwing roaming around through Fog of War. Just now he's hit and over the wall. That's a double ultimate. So right over those walls from the Fog, Mark is punished with xiye able to pop out of there. But LGD, this was sort of their bread and butter, was Peanut and Mark either playing around mid or using xiye's pressure to go punish elsewhere. Instead, this game for them has been just lane kingdom a bit while Peanut solos objectives with the pressure. It hasn't been that same level of commitment or force to finding early plays.
The thing is, though, in Pick and Ban, we talked about how Peanut tends to be the early game for LGD and Kramer is the late game. And what's happened this game? Kramer's just silently farming up. He's got a Blade of the Ruin King. He's got a Zeal on its way. Kramer, when you get to late game teamfights, is an absolute monster, especially on this Ashe, the second most picked champion for him this split. He is going to be very difficult to get a hold of or lock down.
Yes, he is, especially with this Ocean Drake coming up. We were asking earlier, is it an Ocean Soul or Cloud Soul? It's going to be an Ocean Soul. Right now, the Drakes just split 1 and 1 apiece here. But notice, in the top lane, Hanabi will not have teleport. That'll come up just around the same time that the Dragon is going to be spawning into the game. Whereas Langx, he has his TP re-earned and ready to go. He's going to be able to go back to base, top himself out.
Mark once again steps forward, takes about a third of his HP.
Oh no!
Here, there's the arrow and it connects, and that is a very dead Kongyue, although he manages to escape.
That's a sleep!
Going out as well. Great shockwave though, going to stop Peanut from getting in. Langx coming in from the side as well as D steps back. Call of the Forge got used by Hanabi, trying to lock them up in the jungle here as the curtain call comes down. Mark the first target, but he dodges behind Peanut. They dive forward, they get xiye, and now Langx is stuck in the middle of 5 players, but he's going to try and retreat through the jungle. Gets back into the river, 1 kill for PSG.
Really good punish there from PSG, baiting LGD back, surviving against the initial engage, and then turning it around on them inside that tight choke. Here goes Kongyue.
Langx is just going to flash straight forward. The teleport's coming out here as Uniboy joins the party. Stormbringer used by Langx to go unstoppable to stop that route from coming in. But the Ocean Dragon should be the target here for PSG.
Yeah, PSG going to be able to take this one. LGD, not a lot to commit here. Kramer's already running topside. They don't want to fight the Drake. They just want Kramer to be able to farm. That's a big win for PSG.
And Ender, just a few moments ago, we were saying, can PSG be coordinated? Can they team fight versus a team from the LPL? Well, that starts to give me a little bit of faith. The PCS as a region look very strong right now.
I mean, because at the start, it looked dire for them. You know, they're camping in this bush to try and find Mark, but then they get turned around on them. This is a really nice arrow onto Kongyue, and Peanut holds his sleep knowing that the Graves is the target, but this is where they go too far. When they come back, look, this huge shockwave is so good. Langx is not able to make an impact on the backside because of that cleanse, and then this ultimate set up for the Jhin. You see how these ultis are supposed to work in conjunction with one another. LGD cannot catch up to their front line, and they're picked off in the process.
Credit as well to D. It's been over a year since he played on a competitive stage. He was the one caught out, insta-cleanse, instantly retreats into the Fog of War. It makes it so hard for Langx to keep up with him. Gold still 2,000 ahead here for LGD. There is a Dragon timer ticking. In about 4 minutes, we'll have the next Ocean, and then it's Soul after that. If PSG can continue to stack them, they are going to be healing absolutely tons through all of these team fights.
And by the time we get to this next Drake, we're going to see Hanabi's Ornn ready to hand out some items to his carries. You see down bot side, D went for the Infinity Edge first. A lot of time we'll see the Storm Razor, which has some really nice synergy with Jhin's kit there, but I think that D's saying, hey, you're upgrading me first. Make sure, you know, Uniboy, you can wait. Same for you, Kongyue. I'm getting my item ASAP down there, and that's going to be a lot of AD.
Going to be handing out those birthday presents like Santa Claus at Christmas. PSG will be looking to get all of those upgrades. Each upgrade probably about 1,000 to 1,400 gold worth of stats. Uniboy now in a side lane, doesn't have the teleport, is being shadowed by Kongyue as he comes in towards this bottom side of the map. It's going to clear out the control ward. They're trying to give Uniboy this gold. Kaiwing's going to get jumped on just a little bit as Kramer is able to step away.
But here's the thing, LGD have so much pressure in this topside jungle, they may be able to zone off the turret just a little bit as they step forward. That tower very, very low. D on the Jhin can't really do too much in terms of wave clear there.
Especially since he didn't have cleanse. Now what I do like is Kaiwing has gone Mikhail's first on the Rakan. Rakan is one of those champions that you can be really flexible with your itemization. You see things like the Ardent Sensor, the Redemption. Sometimes you can even go for Shurelias if you want that extra burst to get in, but the Mikhail's here just adds that element of safety, because if Kongyue eats an arrow, if Uniboy eats an arrow, you just immediately cleanse it off them and you can try and reposition in these fights.
Yeah, and I think Mikhail's is such a hard counter to Lillia in particular, because like, well, an arrow, Mikhail's has that small wind-up time, right, that you have to play around. Well, with the sleep, you see the same wind-up time, so you can actually get perfect timing on that. You can self-cleanse yourself with 100% success rate because you know exactly how long it's going to take before that one pops down there. So I really like that intelligent itemization coming through from Kaiwing.
Let's look at where we are in terms of itemization on the other side. Peanut, Liandry's after finishing his jungle item here. I know we've seen some Dead Man's Plates coming out from Lillia's, but the Liandry's just a much more damage-centered build.
Yeah, I do prefer that a lot here, especially when you're going to be whacking away at Hanabi a lot in these fights. You need to go front to back very often on this Lillia and cut down the front line before getting that huge burst of movement speed, where you can go and find that big punch onto a Uniboy or a D a bit later. But this is now 2 turrets that Uniboy has been able to pick up. First down bot side with the Graves escort to help him out, now top 2, and he's gearing up for a Spellbinder purchase right before that next Ocean Drake.
The good thing for LGD is they've been able to find towers in other parts of the map. They got that mid tier 2, they got the bot tier 1, they are 2 turrets ahead right now. And so they aren't losing out on gold because Uniboy has been able to take these towers himself. But now with the Spellbinder, you'll have even more power. We're ticking on that clock, Ender. 1 minute before the Ocean Drake is up. 1 minute before I expect we'll see another team fight.
Yeah, so it's time to do like the check-ins on the itemization, because everyone pretty much has finished off their core 1-2. xiye has been able to upgrade that Mirror Mana for a whole lot of damage inside mid. And note, Kramer has not gone for like the full crit build with the CDR of the Essence Reaver, of course. So he's not going to be able to spam out those arrows, but when it comes to shredding through the HP-heavy front line of Hanabi, that's where the Blade of the Ruined King especially is going to help him out.
Couple of deep breaths before the storm. 30 seconds on the Drake. Let's look at that vision. LGD have control of the river right now. PSG getting pushed back through the mid lane. No safety under their towers because, of course, those towers have already been raised to the ground. LGD have that little bit of extra security. They know that tower is right there. Hanabi's going to try and charge away. Kaiwing looking for flank position here.
Damage.
Standing back. Hanabi down to about 2/3. But the root did come onto Kramer there. Kaiwing unable to get in from the side, and you can see what PSG there. They're tentatively prodding to see if they can find a way in.
But the thing is, LGD attacked the mid wave, so now PSG must respond. That's what Hanabi's going to be picking up. Now it's PSG stuck in this choke point. Can they break through? It's very hard against the Braum.
Swalsey had already used there by Peanut. It went wide, right through the goalpost, and now Kongyue is going to be the one on the front line. Hanabi actually trying to come in from the side here, but a good ward from LGD will spot that out. The ward in the river means that Hanabi is on vision. Kramer forced off the ulti. He's all by himself.
Oh!
Misses, but he almost lands the knock of the curtain call coming out, and there's the charm, the flash. They get Kramer. That's one down. Now what can LGD do? Because they're stuck in the dragon pick. The shockwave dodged away from Kongyue, dashing in, trying to get in towards the boots. He's dodging in and out of vision. He's getting into the bush, and Hanabi now flashing over the wall. You can see PSG just want to continue this
double sleep.
Gonna land on 2. Uniboy cleansed away from. That's the Mikhails that we talked about earlier. LGD still prodding, still poking. They know they can mechanically outplay in moments like this, and that's what they're trying to do. PSG just bringing the Ocean Dragon out.
Yeah, and Kramer's still dead for another 15 seconds. Only Longxing's ultimate ready to go. Peanut wants to steal it, but I don't think PSG are going to give him the chance.
The Dragon runs out of patience with this fight as LGD
Here he goes.
Patience, they dive onto the backline. Uniboy, Storm bring him onto his face, but he's been locked up, and Longxing maybe with the first to fall in this fight. On the backline, Hanabi's diving in. PSG, D gets one. Xiye's fallen. The Dragon's going to go down as well as Longxing falls. Peanut running the wrong way through the map, and PSG, 3 substitutes. Only 2 of their core players are wiping LGD off the map.
LGD just panicked there. They go for the fight, and now PSG are going to hunt down Peanut. He's buying so much time, though, that it's stopping PSG from being able to go take the Baron. He's so fast, he's going to go down in the end, but then that will be a long death timer, and maybe PSG can turn it into a Baron yet.
Well, if you take down the jungler, perhaps you can. Longxing 12 seconds, xiye 10. Peanut just dodging away as much as he can, popping the Gen G as he continues to run. There's the Shockwave back up, and Peanut will fall. Kaiwing takes the kill. PSG decide they don't need the Baron. They have evened out the gold. They were 2,000 gold behind this entire game. Now it's even. There's an Ocean Soul in 4 minutes, and Ender, I'll be honest, I came in thinking PSG would be lucky to put up a fight, and they are demolishing LGD.
Let's look at the fight, because the ulti is terrible, but the idea is sound. You isolate Kramer from the rest of his team, and then you see the long range of Kaiwing flying in there, setting up for Jhin as well. It's massive. Here's where things get awkward, though. A lot of ultimates go down, not a lot of health bars go down, so we're going to snap forward to the rest of the fight. But here, LGD, you have no AD carry. I guess you have a Lucian, but you don't have that Ashe, and they also didn't have any ultimates except for Longxing, so they didn't have the damage to be able to actually contest here, and I think they should have just given it up.
I think looking back at it, they would agree with you, Ender. PSG looking for their second win in this group pretty much guarantees you at least a spot in the knockouts, if not that first position. Of course, each team in play-ins will only play 4 games in their group. The top 4 teams in each group will go through to the knockouts. In fact, the top team goes straight through. Now LGD trying to set up around the Baron. Mark's going to clear out some vision here with xiye, and LGD have been good at this. They've been good at taking down their opponent's vision, but they haven't managed to play around it as effectively as they'd like.
It's so good now for PSG to look for a fight. No flashes available for LGD, and PSG's comp gets countered a bit by flashes, you know, the Ornn ulti, the Orianna, of course, as we said. PSG in a much better position to fight in these consecutive fights when those flashes are down. So I think starting up the Baron is critical right here. They want to turn onto LGD as soon as they approach them in the river.
Is Longxing going to TP in? There's this control ward off towards the top side. Look at that ward in the bush. Mark
ball is in, but it misses.
He misses. Here comes the TP. Hanabi, you've got the Call of the Forge God. You can look for the engage here. Baron down to about half HP. Mark stepping back. Kramer looking for the flank position, but really, do you want to flank on an Ashe right now? PSG once
double
again stepping back. There's the double sleep. There's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but immediately D out with the cleanse. The Cullen coming out as well. Kaiwing steps back, forces Longxing away. That Baron down to 1,500. The shockwave! The shockwave from Uniboy is absolutely huge. Mark falls. Kramer's chased out by Hanabi. Peanut's dead. And LGD are having flashbacks to 2015 because they are not showing up today. PSG with an incredible fight at Baron.
PSG have come up to play here. They're smashing Longxing, will get the shield, but Uniboy should be able to take him down. It's close at the end, but it will be an ace for the PCS representatives, knocking down LGD.
This is the second best team from the PCS with 3 substitutes, Ender. Like, I'm looking forward to Machi. I'm worried for G2 in that group now as well, because PSG are showing us why the PCS is to be feared right now. And you can say it's a little bit too much hype for day 1, but this is exciting stuff.
Look at this here. The cleanse going to remove the sleep there as well. PSG once again absorb the engage and then turn it around. It is a scrap in the pit, but look at the shockwave combo. The coordination. Hanabi and Uniboy did not play together this year, but they're still making it happen inside the pit. Peanut Smite is not coming through well, and it is Kongyue who picks up the Baron in the 50-50.
You can see how much it means to them as well. 12 kills to 2, 4,000 gold lead. And Ender, Baron remains for 2 minutes still on PSG. They've already got 3,000 gold out of it, and they have an Ocean Soul in 45 seconds.
This is disaster for LGD, the amount of pressure PSG are going to have. And we saw in the last fight around Baron, around the Dragon before too, they're splitting up LGD, and LGD are getting punished. Again, LGD LGD need to find creative ways to approach the fight and not get punished right off the bat with those big ultimates, but Uniboy found him right there, and there's nothing you can do once you get 3-man Shockwave. I'm
just super impressed by the level of coordination coming out from PSG. As you said, like, these guys don't play together. Uniboy and Kongyue have played together. D hasn't played in a year. And Kaiwing and Hanabi in some of these teamfights are just absolutely on point. Actually looks like LGD have given up on this Ocean Soul. They've sent xiye and Peanut up towards the top lane. They're trying to get something out of this, but that will be the Ocean Dragon going over to PSG. Ocean Soul secured. They still have 45 seconds before that Baron buff ticks away. And right now, they are looking incredibly strong. 3 items on D. Rapid Fire, Phantom Dancer, Infinity +1 Edge, the Luden's Echo, the Rabadon's Death Cap, the Spellbinder complete, and a 10-stack Dark Seal, just in case you want to go full Medjai's. Death Dance, Obsidian Cleaver, and the Warrior Enchant for Kongyue. Like, they are so strong.
Look at this from LGD, though. They spent time up here. They want to find the pick. Can they make it happen?
Hanabi still has Flash. You can't do it. He's on. He's too tanky. You can't get in there. And now you've got 3 players on the top side of the map and no teleports.
Yeah, PSG are down bot side. It's 2 versus 1. Langx, he can't clear away minion waves. PSG are going to be able to raise this turret so quick, and they might get a kill on top.
Now Langx goes in, down to half HP. He's going to retreat. He's going to walk wounded back to his base. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, those towers are falling as well. Mid lane tier 1 down, tier 2 down.
Xiye's still not back yet.
Xiye's not back. The Baron has fallen off, which means the mid lane wave will not be as strong as it could have been about 20 seconds prior. But PSG, they break open the bottom side of the map, and now they can pull LGD apart.
Everything working for PSG now. With the Baron, they break the base. With the Ocean Soul, they already weren't losing team fights because their coordination was that good. Now, they're not going to lose team fights because they're just that strong with the Ocean Soul on top of it. You said Medjai's, it's coming in. Uniboy doing his homework here, has got the book and is ready to start counting up.
I think coming into Worlds this year, a lot of people were wondering, you know, how do regions match up against each other? Like, we hadn't had MSI, we had mid-season championship, right, from LCK and LPL, and we saw just a little bit of international competition, but I think it's pretty easy to say now, if PSG take this is the first upset of Worlds, and this is like a big upset as well. On day 1, game 4, to have such a resounding win for PSG would be amazing.
And there's obviously so much strange circumstance around this 2020 Worlds with quarantine and no fans in the venue, but you cannot deny showing up on day 1 like this when Plains is a single round robin 2-0. I believe like it all but confirms you to move on and have a chance in those best of 5s at the very least. PSG on day 1 are putting themselves in a prime position to go on to groups.
They really are, and with so many of these players having fallen by the wayside in the knockout stages before, what a performance it would be for them. Right now, LGD just trying to lick their wounds, try to find some gold on the map. Gargoyle's on its way for Langx. He's got the Black Cleaver, the Deadman's, and the Iceborne Gauntlet. You've got the Liandry's and the Zhonya's complete for Peanut. 3 items on xiye. He's also got a Last Whisper to try and get through some of this armor that Hanabi's building up, because Hanabi's on his way to a Randuin's alongside a Thornmail and the Sunfire Cape +1 double capes. I don't know. I don't know what the Sunfire Cape, Forgefire Cape. That's
I was going to say pretty damn strong is what I usually call it there on the Ornn. Going to be so hard to take him down, and this can be the weakness when you stack a lot of marksmen. Having these items that reduce crit chance, return fire in the Thornmail too, makes it really hard to take down Hanabi, and Peanut has not had the type of game we would have expected him to have. Didn't have the early game impact outside of the early objectives, and now is the only real source of damage against the PSG front line.
You can see PSG once again playing this team-orientated style. All 5 players in that blue quadrant. They know Baron up in 20 seconds. They get push here in the bottom lane. They get Hanabi in mid to get push in mid, and then they just choke out any vision LGD could have. I mean, Peanut, he's down on the bottom side. He's like, there's a Scuttle Crab coming up soon. I'm going to wait here for it.
He's just singing. He has nothing else to do. Baron is spawning, but how do you enter the river? That is exactly what LGD have to be asking themselves, because it is do or die around this objective. PSG, if they get this, they will break open the entire base.
Sort it down to 8,000 HP. Peanut looking for the flank position, has the flash. He's got a 2-level disadvantage on his smite, though. There's the swirl seed, hits Kaiwing. Kaiwing goes in with the quickness. They're going to try and burst it before Peanut can get in, and Kongyue has already taken it, and now the fight really begins. The curtains have opened. The call of the Forge God Ram was blocked by Mark. xiye, though, in a really good position here as he tries to catch out D. D's still back. He's looking to get away. Jhin going to dive onto D. Kaiwing keeping him alive. The Stormbringer, D's still alive somehow on the back line. Take a year break whenever you damn well please, D, because you are playing out of your damn mind. Longxin goes down, Baron goes down, and PSG are looking for the end.
Do not write PSG off with everything that was thrown their way. They showed up today, and they're going to be able to take down LGD. There's only 2 members inside the base ready to defend, and PSG are here for the win.
What a performance, what a day from PSG. 3 subs. People coming in at the last moment because of quarantine, because of visas, and PSG do not give a damn whether you're the LPL's 4th seed as Hanabi steps a little bit too far, caught up, but he's going to be able to escape, gets back underneath the tower, and now they're going forward. Look for Mark, the collateral damage isn't going to be enough, and there's the Nexus tower. LGD, try as you might, you cannot stop the might that is PSG. 2-0 on day 1.
What a game right there. PSG showing up. They were battling from behind in the early game, didn't take many chances, but when it came to the team fights, we posed one question at the start of the game. A team that's thrown together, can they find the coordination in the 5v5? And by God, they absolutely did.
What a performance from PSG. You can see them elated at the end of it. LGD, though, on the other hand, I mean, they have no more games today. They've got some time to reassess, to reevaluate, but they really need to do something because, I mean, PSG might just be the strongest team in this group. And actually, I'm thinking about it now. If you're on the other side of that group, if you're in Group A, and you're thinking, well, we might face LGD in the knockout stages, like, LGD historically have been a best-of team. Like, they won 55% of their games in the regular season, but in the best-ofs, that's where they really show up. Now, throughout the whole tournament, MasterCard is highlighting the fans are watching from around the globe in our MasterCard Fans of the Decade. Today, we're saying hi to Ryan from Albuquerque, USA, who had some great memories from Worlds with his favorite team, Cloud9. During the play-in stage, he's cheering for Team Liquid.